We're going to check out the Browns minicamp winners and losers in just a moment. But I want to hear from everyone watching right now. What year did you become a Cleveland Browns fan? Were you born into it? Did you adopt the team for one reason or another? Get in the comment section. Let me know what year you became a Browns fan. Mandatory minicamp is in the books. The Browns wrapped up their 3-day period earlier this week. So we're going to run through the biggest winners and losers coming out of minicamp. So our first winner is Deshaun Watson. And I know this is just a little bit of like putting out good vibes into the universe to kind of speak it into existence. But I do believe from what we saw to Deshaun Watson over the last 3 days, he does qualify as a winner, okay? He threw the first and final day of mandatory minicamp. Compared to OTAs, he worked in 7-on-7 drills, which was a good step forward in his rehab progress. And it's also worth noting, he's only 7 months removed from that surgery he underwent in November. So for me, I think we can deem Watson a winner after seeing the velocity and the deep ball he showed off during the final day of mandatory minicamp. Had a great strike to Jalen Darden, 30-plus yards over the middle of the field. But maybe best of all, he had a 40-yard bomb to Elijah Moore, which was just ever so slightly overthrown. Like, Moore got fingertips on it. But I'm happy he overthrew it. I don't think there'll be another time where I'm happy a quarterback overthrew a wide receiver. But for Watson to overthrow his guy after coming off a shoulder surgery, I think that definitely makes everyone a lot more comfortable about, okay, I think he's getting the velocity, he's getting the range back, and Kevin Stefanski kind of laughing at us, going, I don't know what you guys are making all these jaw-dropping, comments about. This is the normal Deshaun Watson. Now, hopefully the normal's not overthrowing guys. The jokes kind of write themselves there. But it was kind of good to see Watson like, oh, I actually can't overcook it. Like, that's great to hear. Before we get to the rest of the winners and losers, in some adjacent NFL news, we had Trevor Lawrence come in and tie Joe Burrow with the highest paid contract for quarterbacks, making $55 million a season. So I thought you guys may just want to see where Deshaun Watson now compares, as he has fallen from, at one point, was he number one at the very top? Was he? Maybe he was, I don't remember. But now he's all the way down to 8. So listen, that contract's going to look really good if Deshaun Watson has a great year, and it's going to look really, really bad if Deshaun Watson has a disappointing season. But the possibilities for the Browns to have a pretty good bargain at a quarterback price right now with $46 million compared to what Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, like all those guys recently got. I think the needle is pointing upwards for Cleveland as long as Watson comes through this season. So if you are ready for a bounce-back season from Deshaun Watson, hit that thumbs up button down below. I want to get some good vibes going. I want Deshaun Watson to stumble across this video, see 400 likes, and go, well, let's throw for 4,000 yards. First loser I've got from minicamp, I'm going to go with Andrew Berry. Andrew Berry did nothing wrong at mandatory minicamp. The reason why he is a loser is he has some work to do over summer break. He got some homework to take home because Amari Cooper was not at any 3 days of mandatory minicamp. And now Andrew Berry has a little project to do over the next 6 weeks, which is make sure Amari Cooper is present at training camp. Now, Cooper is seeking a contract extension. If you don't know, he's entering the last year of a 5-year, $100 million contract. So he is set to make $20 million for 2024, and he is looking to add on to that, not just like money-wise, but years-wise. He's going to turn 30 years old in a few days, depending on when you're watching this, June 17th. So that's definitely going to be a little bit of a hiccup or concern for a GM to extend a player who just turned 30 years old, especially when you look at the NFL draft. And every single year, it feels like the wide receiver pool just gets better and better. So the Browns could extend Cooper, or they could just use their first-round draft pick for the first time since Greg Newsome and go wide receiver and a much cheaper option as well. But you cannot let this go into training camp. You just can't. You need Amari Cooper out there on training camp. Like, Deshaun Watson has missed so much time since his 2020 season, right? Did not play at all in 2021, missed 2/3 of 2022, missed 2/3 of 2023. That's 3 years of not even playing half of the season. So with Watson coming back from an injury, a new offensive coordinator. The last thing this team needs is just one more hurdle to get over before week 1. So make sure Amari Cooper is at training camp. And if that means a 1-year extension, like that may be the price of doing business for the 2024 Browns. I am in favor of giving Amari Cooper a contract extension. I don't think he has to become top 10 highest paid wide receivers. He's currently at 20. I could see them maybe jumping it up to $21 million, right? Move him up 3 or 4 spots. But I am definitely in the camp of Amari Cooper is showing no signs of rust or fatigue. Sure, he missed 2 games last year. One of them was the meaningless Week 18 game against the Bengals, and then the Week 17 game against the Jets, where it was a short week, Thursday Night Football, didn't need to push it. Amari Cooper, just a few weeks before that, set the Browns' single-game receiving record, right? 250 yards, whatever, against the Houston Texans. So, yeah, I still think Cooper's got some really good football left in him. And last year, there were some really good wide receivers who were 31 years old and had 1,000-plus yard seasons. So if you're giving Amari Cooper a 2-year extension, for at least half of that extension, you can get over 1,000 yards, right? Keenan Allen, Davante Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Adam Thielen, like all those guys, 31 years old last season, all had over 1,000 yards. Keenan Allen maybe had the best year of his NFL career at the age of 31, 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, given what he had to work with Justin Herbert going down in the last quarter of the season. So I think an extension could look something like this. 2 years, $42 million. That's an average of $21 million, so a slight pay bump from what he is currently making. Guarantee $30 million, so if you want to move on after one season, you'd be on the hook for about $15-ish million in dead cap hit. But don't tell me that Amari Cooper can't be good at age 31 in 2025 when this extension would kick in. We just saw with a lot of really good wide receivers that Amari Cooper has been in the tier of for his entire NFL career did at age 31. I still think Cooper can be a productive player for this team, and I think he is not like an instrumental locker room presence. He's always been a bit of a more of a Nick Chubb style approach of, leads by his actions, not by his words. But the Browns have had a really good core in the last couple of years. Don't break it up. Let's keep Cooper in Cleveland. So I'll turn it over to you. Should the Browns extend Amari Cooper? Don't be afraid to get in the comment section. I want to know what you have to say about this one. Second winner I've got, red zone defense. And this is a bit of a niche winner, but trust me, I think it's an important winner to note. So during OTAs and into minicamp, teams do a lot of situational football, right? They're not running their full offense and defense. There's no pads on to begin with. So a lot of times they just do red zone drill, 7-on-7s, see if the offense can score a touchdown from the 10-yard line or so. But the Browns' first-team offense, so a bit of a pro and con here, they went 0 for 8. So not great for the Browns' offense, but great for the Browns' defense in the red zone between Tuesday and Thursday's minicamp session. And that's really important because last year, the Browns' red zone defense literally could not be any worse in the NFL. They ranked 32nd. 71.4% of the time a team entered the red zone, they scored a touchdown. Dead last in the NFL. Meanwhile, the Browns' offense, for context, they were right in the middle of the pack at 15. But there are 2 things the Browns need to nail down going into 2024. The red zone and road games. Those are the final 2 pieces. And Jim Schwartz collecting all the infinity stones, okay? He's got the pass rush. He's got the interior defensive line set. He's got Myles frickin' Garrett. He's got a top 3 cornerback room. The last piece of the puzzle or so. Road games and red zone. And I think those pieces come along this year because in Jim Schwartz's NFL history, he has only gotten better when he gets his second season with the team, right? You go back to his first stint as a DC with the Tennessee Titans, look at the points allowed difference between year 1 and year 2. Goes from 25th to 11th. Goes into Detroit as the head coach, goes from 32nd to 19th. Takes over a really good Eagles defense, right? From 12th to 4th. So there was a big boost in year 2 under Jim Schwartz everywhere he's been. And the last piece, like I said, is that red zone defense, really. So I'm excited to see the Browns' red zone defense start to click and get some, good vibes and good momentum going into training camp, hopefully. Second loser, injuries. Unfortunately, the Browns just cannot seem to get away from the injury bug. This one's not as severe or concerning, but Myles Garrett did kind of tweak his hamstring during the final minicamp session. Kevin Stefanski said he'll be fine. Garrett was spotted the next day on Friday at his charity football event, and he had a leg sleeve on his left leg. So there's some level of treatment, I guess we could say, going on, but it didn't sound concerning. When Garrett kind of pulled up and favored his hamstring, he didn't leave practice. He just stood to the side and watched for the rest of it. So I don't think it's anything to lose sleep over, but it just sucks, right? There were some notable sit-outs as well due to injuries. Nick Chubb still not back from his knee surgery. Naheem Hines also working his way back from a torn ACL. Jerry Jeudy did not participate during minicamp. We never got really a clear explanation as to why. Jack Conklin and Jed Wills both working their way back from knee surgeries. The expectation for those two is Conklin will hopefully be back sometime around the beginning of the season, whereas Wills will hopefully be back for the start of training camp. So those two are about maybe 5-6 weeks apart, as Conklin's coming off a little bit more of a severe knee injury than Wills. And then Joel Petonio, he just gets the timer off. I mean, he's just got that point in his NFL career where if he wants to rest, he can rest for somewhat, definitely for the offensive line, meaningless practices in June. Third and final winner, I'm going to go with Jerome Ford. I left this one open for a while because I was kind of weighing my different options as to who stood out to me the most, but I want to talk to you guys about Jerome Ford because he worked with a first-team offense as Nick Chubb is still working his way back. And while that may not be very surprising, given that he started 12 games last year, he is competing for what we'll call the RB1 job, but it's just temporary until Nick Chubb comes back, with newcomer D'Onta Foreman. So Foreman came over in free agency. He spent last year with the Chicago Bears. He had some good games with the Bears, but he didn't have a whole lot of games to begin with. He was injured at times. He was a healthy scratch at the end of the season. Ford had an up-and-down year, right? Kind of a strong-ish, a solid, I'm going to go with the word solid start when Nick Chubb went down. And then him and Kareem Hunt started to run into brick walls, and the Browns' run game just deteriorated altogether. So I hope Chubb is back before October because I don't have a ton of confidence in those two guys to hold down the fort if needed for 4 to 6 weeks. Like, that's a third of the season. I'm not sure that those two guys, as Deshaun Watson comes back from a shoulder injury, and also historically has always gotten off to slow starts in his NFL career, can rely on Jerome Ford and D'Onta Foreman to kind of pick up the slack at times. So, I mean, goes without saying, the sooner the better for Nick Chubb, but I do think it has some extra weight because the Browns just realized last year how valuable Nick Chubb is to them. I want to give some shout-outs before we sign off and get you guys on out of here. To people that were in the comment section from our previous video, Robust Plays, Time Lord, Playmaker, John Fitchard, thank you guys so much for tuning in and commenting. If you want to get a shout-out on a future Cleveland Browns report, comment right now, and we'll show you guys some love. So, with that being said, if you're looking for something to comment about, how about this question? Better summer vacation spot. Are you a beach person or are you a lake person? I grew up in a more of a lake setting, lake household, if you will. Didn't have like my own lake house, but always had a friend or a cousin who had one to go to. But I'm not a big beach person whatsoever. I don't like the sand. It follows you for the next month. It's in your car. It's everywhere. It follows you to the hotel. It gets in the bed sheets. I can't stand it. I am the lamest person in the world. I don't like beaches. Yeah, I would wear shoes on the beach if it were more socially acceptable. That's my old man take right there. All right, we're going to welcome on producer Jack Lauderay to pick the card. Jack, are you a beach or a lake person? You grew up in a pretty waterless state.
I grew up in a state with literally zero water. I'll go lake. I mean, we were a lake family, so I'll go lake.
Lakes are fun. Lakes are good times. Which card do you want to go with?
I'm gonna do the Jack of Clubs.
Jack of Clubs. I'm gonna go with the, Ace of Spades. What'd you say? Jack of Hearts. Jack of Hearts. That's a tough seed. Producer Reed got it earlier this week. Yeah, Reed got it. I know, and I told him there's a 0% chance that card is the card that's going to pick. And it was King of Clubs. He got it right. All right, that will do it for us on today's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will sign off, and we will see you guys later with more Browns updates. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss a thing.